fresh when it comes to the real estate. We're still growing and developing, so it's like an untapped market. And for the diasporans, it's a gold mine because they're coming in and they're able to, especially in the high prime locations, so once they invest in those prime locations, they can get really high returns, anything from 8 to 15% returns on the investment. So it's an attractive investment for anyone coming from the diaspora.
Welcome to the Great Return Podcast, a podcast focusing on wealth creation and African development by and for people of African heritage, both at home and abroad. Today, we are discussing what diasporans need to know about investing in the real estate sector in Ghana. And to help us with this conversation, we have with us today Henry Asenso of Kuro Africa. We also have Safo of Majestic Homes GH. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you. So I will say, if you want to maybe introduce yourselves a little bit before we get the conversation going.
Sure. So I'll start. My name is Henry Asenso. I'm founder of Kuro Africa. We help individuals and organizations make more informed decisions around real estate investment and general entry into Ghanaian markets through the power of data analytics and AI.
Okay. And I'm Safo of Majestic Homes. I'm the CEO and founder. What we do is essentially help diasporans when they're wanting to come into the Ghana markets, whether it's to build, whether it's to rent, whether it's to buy. So everything real estate, we're here for their needs. Yes.
So from all we sort of hear, and it appears, is that the real estate sector is an attractive investment in Ghana. With that, if we can talk a bit about that and why it is so, and sort of link it to the returns that people expect to make when they invest in the real estate sector.
Okay, so Ghana is still very much fresh when it comes to the real estate. We're still growing and developing, so it's like an untapped market. And for the diasporans, it's a gold mine because they're coming in and they're able to, especially in the high prime locations, so once they invest in those prime locations, they can get really high returns, anything from 8 to 15% returns on the investment. So it's an attractive investment for anyone coming from the diaspora. So that's what makes Ghana really attractive. And also there's a big trend since the year of return where there's a lot of diasporans returning. So and ever since then, it's made a big change and an impact in the pricing structures. Also, the investing structures and opportunities are plenty. So, when the diasporans see or hear of Ghana and they see how advanced that is becoming, everybody wants a piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds very positive because 8 to 15%, that is comparative to any Western developed countries' return. It's even better in most cases. So I think from watching some of the real estate things in the UK, I know it's like 6 to 9% is really good return, is what they normally say. So that sounds,
I mean, what I'd add to that is that there's a thin line between achieving 8 to 15 and then achieving 1 to 2 in Ghanaian real estate. And there are several factors that dictate whether or not you'll achieve that. Sometimes you'll get 2 developments right next door to each other. One does extremely well and the other doesn't do well at all. So there's a lot to be done around kind of your pre-due diligence and being able to anticipate which is going to be successful, because prime areas, Mario's absolutely right, you can get really good returns, but there's a lot of new supply happening in prime areas. And with new supply, that's more competition. With more competition or more options for buyers and renters, that can lead to lowering of prices. We've seen the real peak era for real estate in Ghana was kind of 2006 through to 2019. That's when the boom happened.
Right.
That's the period in which a lot of kind of older generation, boomer generation, who had acquired assets in Ghana really benefited massively, because there wasn't this huge supply of high-rise buildings. So if you had something and it was an affordable alternative to very expensive hotel rooms, you could be getting $3,000-$4,000 a month paid up front for 3-5 years by companies.
Wow.
But now there's a lot of supply in that sector. The opportunity from what we see at Kuro and the data we look at is actually in the low to middle income. That's where the demand is really high, and the margins can be really good. You can get your 15% in there, because what that kind of high-end investor would have got before 3,000, 4,000 is more looking like 2,000 because of the additional supply that's happening in the market. So there is a lot of opportunity here. It's always going to be a growing market. We urbanize very well. The population demographic is very supportive of booming, but the high end is a little bit oversaturated because there's a lot of supply for quite low levels of demand comparative to income levels.
Right.
So if you look at the general population here, you know, the median income is like 1,500 cedis.
Yes.
Right? So that means of 34 million people, 17 million earn that or less.
Yes.
So once you start addressing that market, because that's where the housing deficit is, that's where the rents are continuing to rise.
Okay.
And there's no sign of them stopping or slowing because the demand is there. There's not enough housing units. So there is a lot of opportunity in the prime areas, but I think the 10-year landscape and the longer landscape is the middle income, which is growing. That is where people are going to be really successful and are really successful now.
Yeah. So from what you're saying, I think is to say that even within prime areas, people have to be careful because property next door to yours might be doing so well, around the 15% mark or whatever, but you go in and then you end up doing 2% and you don't understand why.
Yeah.
So there are things to look out for.
As I said, like there's it comes with its downsides as well, because there's a lot of competition in the area where everyone's building luxury, and you're getting people that are coming in. Your people that are buying are mostly diasporans and foreign investors. The average Ghanaian can't afford those luxury apartments that they have up. So you have this problem where you have a lot of supply, but there's less demand for that. It's like a niche clientele that's going to go for those type of buildings. So as you said, rightly, the focus should be more on the affordable housing because the demand is really there in the middle income earners that constantly renting more than owning now. So building to rent is where the actual gold mine is compared to building the luxury, and it's saturated and it's just going to sit there. So you do have to balance the two and get it right.
So I'd like us to look at what other factors are pushing the growth in the real estate sector in Ghana. We've talked about the year of return. What other factors do you think is really, I mean, you touched briefly on developing economy. So can we explore more about what factors are pushing, this growth?
I mean, Accra is growing. Like in a year on year, we're getting 100,000 more added to the population. People moving from urban areas coming to Accra. So that automatically is going to provide opportunities and it's going to make the demand even higher for affordable housing or even just housing in general. So those are some of the factors that drive it. There already is a 2 million deficit in the housing. So that is a constant demand that is always required to be filled by constant building and construction going on. So definitely that's one of the most driving factors. There's a mobility and there's a huge demand for rental properties, especially.
Okay.
I would just add to Mario's point. I think he's absolutely right. There are some kind of not so obvious nuances as well, like the cultural setup in Ghana is we value land and real estate ownership culturally. It's like you bought your land. It's milestones in your life, right? And those milestones and cultures are passed down, so everybody wants their home, as it were. Another thing is kind of the available asset makeup of the Ghanaian economy is quite small, right? The Ghanaian stock exchange is not very mature. You know, whereas in the West, you know, it's easy for you to set up a stock and shares account within minutes on your phone. It's different here. And so another big key player in the asset prices rising in the high-end sector as well is actually really successful Ghanaian business people who don't have a multitude of assets to invest their earnings into. And so, especially when they're earning cedis, they always have to protect against an always depreciating cedi, or typically. Now it's a bit crazy, right? But they often get better exchange rates investing in a real estate property high end than they do in the market just exchanging their cedis for pounds or dollar, mainly dollar. So they use it as a currency hedge. So, you know, I was speaking to a developer recently. He told me that 40% of his sales came from referrals, right? So it's people, it's a cohort of people who are institutionally investing in a lot of these kind of new luxury real estate. And then you have other people who are doing the affordable middle market space who are doing extremely well because they could recoup their whole investment in building the whole thing in 5 years, realistically. Land price included. And then everything after that is pure profit. So that's another factor as well.
Do we think the diaspora and maybe foreign investors are having any impact in the growth?
Most definitely, because they come with a lot of disposable income. So they're able to afford certain properties that the average Ghanaian can't. So they stabilize that the property sector by coming in with their investment. And you get a lot of them that come and they want to buy to let as opposed to actually buying and living. Most of them looking at it as an investment. So you get a lot of them that buy for that specific, you know, especially in the short stay, short let market is during peak seasons is very lucrative. So there, a lot of people see that as a gold mine. So the diasporans and the foreign investors coming in on that side makes a difference to pushing that side of the sector. Definitely.
Okay. So let's talk about the trend going forward. How, you did touch on it briefly, but how do we see the trend in the next 5 to 10 years in the real estate sector?
So from what we see at Kuro, we kind of look at it from a multi-angle. So we have different data sets like population, salary, real estate, and we combine them to understand or try to predict what's going to happen next. And you can take patterns from other developed economies or developing economies who are now developed. And what we're seeing is that middle income, that middle market will continue to grow. I think the high end has pretty much stabilized now. The peaks have come down and now there's a stable, and it's still a good market, but it's a stable market now. So I think if over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be more and more attention. There's more and more foreign direct investment. There's more and more state perspectives on Africa's growth and trying to get in.
Okay.
Because geopolitically, you can't have these kind of votes on wars in Africa all like sustain from, so Western powers are looking at and saying we need better influence. So that there are going to be more people on the ground, more businesses coming in, which will in turn still enable the higher end to grow because they're going to expect a certain lifestyle and way of living. So you get a lot of embassies that pick up these apartments and for long periods of time. So I think overall the trend is definitely up. But I think the exponential trend would be in the middle market because if you get in at a good price and you do something that is affordable, the demand level is going to be extremely high and you'll get your whole year rent up front, which technically you shouldn't do, but that's the way it works here. Whole year up front for maybe an apartment building, and all of a sudden maybe 1/5 of your investment is covered in 1 year, so 4 more of those, 5 more of those, all of a sudden you break even. So I think the opportunity is going to be really, really good over the next 10 years. But again, there's a thin line. You can't half do things, the African opulence kind of aesthetic. It's not gonna land well with all investors, right? Everything is marble floored.
Yes.
Gold accents.
Exactly.
Like really weird tiling. Those are the ones. That's the thin line between winning and losing in the market. So if you start to build things that accommodate for, families, wealthy families, developments that have amenities on them, social areas, green areas, because we really struggle with parks and things like that. So if you're developing for the future, that is where you win, is kind of simplicity, focus on something that you would want to live in, not an outward expression of somebody's wealth. That's what I would say.
I know what you mean. Some of the homes you go in and it's like, oh God.
And just to touch on what you said there, I would say over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to be seeing a lot more of like the gated communities because it's a big trend now where, because of security, that is very paramount and important to a lot of people. So gated communities are going to be more on the rise. You're also going to be seeing a lot of trend in townhouses. It's already happening now, but it's going to be more people building townhouses because most families are not big and they don't need 5 to 6 bedrooms. Sometimes 3-4 bedrooms is just fine. Townhouse gives you that flexibility and it's also a good look aesthetically as well. So there's going to be the trend in that as well. And then also I've noticed, I believe going forward, there's going to be a lot of renting to buy. I can see that happening a lot because there's a lot of middle earners that want to own a house, but they may not have the funding to do so. And I believe there's things that we'll be putting in place over the next few years that will accommodate that. So you're renting, but a portion of your rent is also paying for the place where you're living. So that's going to be for investors that are looking for longer term returns than those that are looking for short term, and they can afford to do that or partner with banks to give a sort of a credit facility that can also facilitate that. So I also see that happening over the future as well.
I'll just add one more thing to just reminded me of something. I think that the mortgage rates over time will become more competitive because right now I think the best you can really get is about 11% in the market, which is quite a lot still. But the typical is 20% and up, which is terrible. But over time, I think those will improve because the market opportunity is too great. And with the introduction of affordable credit facilities, that will start to stabilize the market a bit. Because if people are borrowing to buy and they have a monthly commitment to paying back that loan, then market forces are more effective. Right now, people are buying with cash. So they will sit there and say, well, I want my $2,000 a month and I'm not budging on that. If it's sitting empty, I've already paid my money. It doesn't matter. But when the credit facilities start coming in, I think the market will stabilize a lot more. And another trend I think you will see and are seeing is the old school houses that sit on 100 by 120 plots or 120 by 120 plots will get bought out, knocked down, and apartment buildings will go up.
It's
That's
already
what's happening over East Londons and Canton. You can't find bare lands there. No. So when you buy, it's literally to knock down and rebuild. And build high rises or townhouses. That's the trend that's also happening, and that's going to continue.
To get more return per square foot of the land.
Definitely.
Before we move on to the next one, I want to pick on something you mentioned about people asking for like a year's rent in advance, which is common in Ghana, 2 years, 3 years. Do we think that as the market grows, as more people come in, and also as we get these credit facilities that you're saying, do you ever see that changing?
Potentially. I think it's a great problem to solve. I think there's a Nigerian startup that has started doing that. And I think effectively working with the banks to provide the credit facility to enable people to pay monthly. I think there's a trust element in our society that means why people are taking a year up front. Legally, you're not allowed to take a year up front. You can take only up to 6 months, right? So it shouldn't be happening anyway, but it is what it is. The demand is so high that people will use more upfront payment as a bargaining tool, exactly, to get what they want. I think it probably will change. I saw recently that there is the credit scoring initiative raised in Ghana now. So they'll be taking things like your mobile money transactions or payment with your landlord to give you a bit of a financial footprint. Once those things are in play, plus then you have the credit facility that can reference, credit systems, credit scoring. I think then that will come into play. I think it's important to come into play anyway.
It is.
And it's only going to make for a better market. Overall.
So they've already started that initiative.
They started it last year.
Credit scoring.
There's a credit scoring initiative. These initiatives come, but it's the implementation that's difficult because we have some behavioural aspects. I think it's government associated, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure it is because it's needed.
It is.
It's needed.
It will be a game changer.
So they're actually located in and around East Legon, not far from here. So I do want to find out more about that. But the intention is clear. That would be great.
When the government actually start to also track and implement and enforce the law, the legal side of it that says you can't take more than 6 months, it will also make a big difference. But
100%.
I don't see how they're implementing that now, how they're enforcing it. Because landlords are still able to ask for whatever they want.
It's a very informal sector. They have like a rent control department, but it's based on mandates from like 1963.
It needs to be updated.
So like the law around it is from kind of Nkrumah's time, right? And they haven't updated it since. There's been updates in the real estate agent side of things in the law, but I think there's going to need to be some transformation. And to your point, I think a lot of these things are only administrable when you have solid technology around it. So if there is some sort of national rent registry where it's like, okay, well, this agreement has gone in, we put it into the registry, you can't rent or you don't get so for example in the UK they started doing like landlord licenses, right? So you had to pass a certain set of thresholds in order to be able to rent, and if you're caught doing rent outside of that you'll be punished. So I think once those kind of governance and controls come in place, then you have a normalized market, and it's going to attract more investment at that point as well,
Okay, so now let's talk about who we think are the major investors and beneficiaries. Is it the diasporans, local investors, or foreign investors? This sort of big growth. But where do we see who out of that lot is the biggest?
I mean, right now, I would definitely say about 70 to 80% is definitely the diasporans and the foreign investors are the ones that are really benefiting from the growth in terms of the investment portfolios and all the and also the locals are, but they're more your high net worth locals that are able to actually enjoy the benefits of it, because it's not every Ghanaian or your average Ghanaian that can afford a lot of the properties that are on the market. There is a lot of luxury on the market, and the diasporans come and they want the luxury. The foreign investors they want the luxury, so they're the ones that are benefiting now. But as we said, with the trends going forward, I see the middle income earners also being able to have a chance once there is affordable housing in place.
Then they can start
to benefit.
I would probably say from a kind of construction perspective, it's more foreign investors. So most of the buildings in town are being built by foreigners.
Right.
That's what I can see with my eyes, right? When you drive around and you see the construction, it's foreigners. You know, it's kind of the Arab world,
right?
That side of thing. Chinese, big time, and the kind of the big physical infrastructure seems to be led by them, and then the kind of there's almost like a wholesale retail kind of approach, and the retail aspect is probably more the diasporas, and then also the high net worth individuals who are buying maybe on a different scale. I know people that have almost act as a pre-seed investor to some of these developments because they're like, I want 50 studios. Right?
Okay.
I want 50 studios because they know it's a good return and they can take their money from the West and put it into Africa like that. And they are diasporans. Right? And they're high net worth diasporans. Very high net worth diasporans. You know, the middle to upper middle income, you're going to get one or two apartments, and then you're probably just going to stop there. But there are people that are buying 50 at a time. Right. You know, you get the high net worth individuals here, the political elite, etc. You know, they've got 200 apartments across cantonments alone. You know, so there's that element as well. So, but I see the institutional investors, like the guys building the big towers, they tend to be foreigners.
That's very true. So at the moment, do we think the sort of growth in monetary terms of the sector, is it over-exaggerated?
I'll let you answer that.
Do you see what I mean? Because you sort of look at the sector here and you compare to any Western developed country, and there are prime areas here that you can compare to New York, London properties, isn't it? So is it over-exaggerated?
I don't think it's over-exaggerated because people are actually paying those prices. And lands are expensive, especially in the prime locations. Materials are very high as well. So when an investor comes in and they bought their land, they bought the materials and they built, they expect to be able to get a return on their investment that is worth them investing that money. And people are actually paying those prices. In my opinion, I think a lot of properties are overpriced. Because another thing, and I think that's something that you guys are doing, is actually putting together something that actually defines the pricing structures. Because I can have a house, 4-bedroom house in East Legon, and I can decide to say I want 400,000 for it. You can have one right next door. You could say you want 600,000 for it, and there's nothing to say why you're just because I decided that's what I want to charge. I put this much. This is what I want to charge for it, and you'll be surprised somebody will actually come and buy it. So it's not over exaggerated. People are paying.
I think you've put it really well. I think it's distorted. I think it's distorted because some of the fundamentals aren't in place, which allows for these wild swings, right? So, for example, if you have a public land registry where every transaction is documented, you can ask for 600k, but if I sold next door for 400k and the buyer knows that, He's not going to nobody's going to give you 600k.
Yeah.
But if that buyer doesn't know that, then they may feel like, oh, this is what the going rate is, you know? So I think it's distorted because of the fundamentals. The credit facility is important as well. So for example, if you've invested with credit like we all do in the West, you know, you only put 15, 20% down and then the rest is by the bank. The moment you get a void period and you have to pay that monthly outgoing, and you have a price and no one's buying at that price, you're going to reduce it to make sure one buys. So the market dynamics are distorted, which makes things overpriced. And I think one thing we as a Ghanaian system need to be careful about is that people in the diaspora do have those other options. So it's like, if I did a review on a house in East Legon for $800,000, right? 850,000. I was like, okay, I can see what's happening here. It's on the old plot of 120 by 120, but it's been split into 3 townhouses, right? 40, 40, 40. And it's like, okay, cool. Next door, you've got these old kind of shacks and everything around you, and you're 850,000. And I was like, okay, if I split that 850,000 into 10 lots of $85,000, took that to the West and said, I've got deposits of 85,000 for 10 different properties. Loan me the money at 5% and I'll pay you. You'll get it like that. So all of a sudden, this 850,000 East Legon apartment is a portfolio of 10 properties in the UK, where even if you don't get private renters, the state will come in and take that off you in a second at market rate. So all of a sudden, your 5% that you're getting in the UK is 5% 10 times. So there are some ridiculous instances of overpricing, but it's because the market is distorted and the fundamentals aren't quite in place. But the moment those things come into play, this place will be, Africa in general, will be the hottest real estate investment you could find. 100%.
Because a lot of it is people also being anxious because the information is not there and things are not working properly. So they would otherwise invest, but they are sitting tight or doing something else in the meantime whilst you're watching to see where it goes. That
lack of transparency, and that's what we firmly believe at Kuro, is the lack of transparency is actually hurting the level of investment you potentially could get. Because people are sitting and saying, I get it, Africa makes sense, I can see why it makes sense, but how do I know this is worth what it's worth? What comparables do you have? And that's what we're trying to do at Kuro, and we're trying our best. But even still, there's some fundamental systemic components that are needed to take it to that next level. You take Rwanda, for example. Rwanda, in 5 years, with about, I think it was 100,000 people, implemented a full public land registry for every parcel of land in the country, right? Now, if you have a public land registry and you want to go and buy land, you know who owns it, what they paid for it, when it was paid for, all of those things, and you can buy it and you have your kind of exclusive primary ID of this is my land, nobody can ever take it, no one's going to encroach, none of those things are going to happen. And that took political will, it took stability and leadership, it took kind of war and genocide, because that was a primary issue of the war and genocide, was over land. So now they've done that, you can see what kind of transformation impact it's had in Rwanda. So it's the market is, it's not over exaggerated, because as you say, people will pay. But it's distorted because the fundamentals aren't there. And then once those fundamentals are in, everything will balance out and you get a more kind of normally functioning market.
And especially as well with the local high net worth individuals, they're buying these properties cash, or they're building them cash. So if they're going to have their properties sit there for a year or two, they don't care. They'll just have it sit there because it's paid for and they're not paying any interest or nothing. So they don't mind. They'll just sit on it.
The only example I've seen where it does impact them is when they have to pay a service charge.
Yes.
That's the only point where it's like, oh, especially with the service charges that are coming in now that can be really high, like $200, $300, $400 a month, which is like an interest-only mortgage. But if you're paying that every month, I heard a story the other day of somebody who had a prime property, been sat there empty for 3 years,
Wow.
and racked up about $6,000 worth of service charge, and it was like, okay, now I'll know about
I'll bring the price down. I need it gone.
It's now becoming a problem. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing about the market. It's distorted, but the potential of it is massive. It's huge.
Okay.
But whilst these fundamentals aren't in play, it becomes a little bit difficult to navigate. You know? That's what I'd say.
Okay. So now I'd like us to talk about what diasporans should know about investing in the real estate sector in Ghana. So we hear a lot about scams. That's where I'll start. We hear a lot about scams. So what should people be aware of, and how should they go? What are the right steps for people to take to ensure that they don't fall victim to these scams?
Okay. Well, for me,
and maybe we can talk a bit about the scams if you've had any juicy.
Okay.
I mean, number one thing that a lot of diasporans fail to do, and I always advise my clients, due diligence. You hear it so many times, it's like a broken record.
Exactly.
And still people do not do it.
Yeah.
And this is where you tend to have these issues with the scams, you know, because people will take advantage of the system. It happens everywhere in the world. But if you have a system where there's no way to make sure of things in the right place, you're going to have these loopholes. But thankfully, there are things in place to cut those things out. But it's a case of you as the buyer or the customer doing these due diligence. It's very important. And so, like, most people rely on hearsay, or a family member said they've seen it, or this, my uncle said this land is legit, and and you go and spend your money on it, and then later on you have two different people fighting over it. You're in court for 10 years over a land, and you've not even made any money from it. You know, so it's very important that due diligence is done, and you need to get a professional to do it. Most people feel they can do it, they can rely on people on the ground. Yes, you have your family on the ground, but they're not professionals. Trust in a professional. That's what we at Majestic Homes do for our clients. We make sure the due diligence is done like very detailed and intensive, to make sure before you send any money down, we make sure that everything is matching, everything is correct. We check the ID of the seller. We've made sure we know where the seller lives, where they say they live. You know, we made sure that at Lands Commission, they actually own the property. So that's where you start from. You have to do a search. Most people will not do a search. They will just take, by the way, oh, you've seen an indenture, which tells that, oh, the person owns it, but they've not registered the land. Lands Commission are not even aware who they are. And you've gone to buy it, and then you go now to go to register. A Land Commission is telling you, oh, you can't register. This is registered to somebody else. And you need permission from them. Now, I personally had that experience when I first came to Ghana, almost like 10 years ago, and I bought my first land. I bought the land from the chiefs, but I didn't buy it from the chiefs directly. I bought it from one of the sisters of the family. And now, where they gave me the documentation, everything checked out, but I didn't do extra checks. I didn't try to register my land for maybe like about 2-3 years. So when I actually went to go and register the land now, and I got there, they said the document that you have says that somebody else needs to give you an authorization to be able to register your land. I was like, what? What is this? So I went back to who sold it to me, and they said, oh, well, it belongs to my family. There's no issues. Took me to the chief. And he was like, yeah, I was waiting for you to come. He knows. Like, my sister sold it to you, yes, but I did not get my part of it. And I'm the one that gives the authorization for you to get your land. So for me to now get my land registered, I had to pay, I think, another quarter of what I paid for the land in order for me to be able to register my land. And these are some of the checks that you need to do to make sure you avoid all this stuff. It wasn't necessarily a scam, but it was an inconvenience, you know, that you can easily have avoided if you would have made certain extra checks. And I didn't rely on any professional. I thought I could do it all by myself. And this is where it starts to go downhill. So that's due diligence is very, very key. You can't skip that stage. And later on expect to everything to go smooth and go rosy. Yeah. And also a lot of diasporans rely, as I said, on family members. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've heard stories. There's someone that told me, they've given their uncle money to build a house for them. And they said, yes, they're building the house, and they keep giving them updates, maybe a year, 2 years. And they say, we're almost at the roofing stage, everything's done. Only to come down on ground and find the foundation is not even completed. Mm-hmm. And you spend so much money. It's a family member. What do you do? So you definitely trust and get trusted contractors, to take care of this for you. That's what we do at Majestic as well. We see through your project for you from start to finish, and you don't have that headache.
Yeah. And it's like you're saying, you thought you had done everything right. Yeah. And in the end, you were lucky actually that you did still have land, because a lot of the stories, they shouldn't have sold you the land, or they've sold it to the rightful owner, but they've sold it to multiple people. Yes. So you were lucky also that you only had to pay a quarter of what you've already paid that you hadn't budgeted for.
Most people expect to pay twice, don't they? This kind of thing. So, I really agree with Mario about the due diligence aspect. I mean, what we've tried to do at Kuro is, at least from a pricing perspective, give you some due diligence before you even touch the ground. Mm-hmm. So you can do that from your home to be like, okay, this is what the pricing should be, etc. And, things like, I think more and more the need for independent third-party advice and analysis is going to be really important, because we often have done things historically through families, etc. But look what the outcomes have been. So you need that independence, and be prepared to pay for it, because, if you spend 1,500 for someone to check and do a detailed inspection and give you a report and those kind of things, that we're looking into at Kuro, that might save you 20, 30, 100,000, I've seen examples where people were about to, or investing in a apartment building or getting, and it's off plan, and they've paid their money, and then all of a sudden they didn't get the right permits because of the height of the building. And then it's like, oh, don't worry, we're building something else somewhere else. We'll give you one of those. It's like, all of those things could be avoided if you do the right due diligence. Don't invest on vibes. Nobody invests on vibes anywhere in the world. Why would you come to Africa and do it? So, trusted professionals, 100%, I agree.
Yeah, definitely do your checks on the developers, do your checks on the contractors, see what they've built before, what's their track record. All these are important, before you actually take part with your money, because it's very easy to part with your money, but it's harder to get it back when it comes time. Once the money goes into their hands, it's a different story, so you got to make sure.
Chances of you getting money back
is very, very
close to nil.
But I think, sorry to cut you, Mario, but I think that's part of the fundamental problem here, because we shouldn't be speaking like this about our real estate industry, but the fact of the matter is that's what it is. It's the reality on the ground. So, when we get these kind of overly positive perspectives on the industry and the market, I get uncomfortable, because I'm like, well, that's a possibility, but the reality is it's not that smooth. So you could get 15%, you could get 20%, you get 25%, but it might not be a smooth 25%, or would you, so you have to be honest with how the experience can be to prepare somebody. And I think sometimes, the market is driven by those who can sell properties. Yes. Because they have the money to advertise and what have you. So they put it in front of you and give you the potential. But the real experience on the ground may differ. Sometimes I think there are some developers that give you a really good experience. End to end, you know what you're dealing with. They've been here a long time. They know what they're doing. But then you get others that are, smaller shops, those kind of things, and you can have a different experience. But that's why, to Mario's point, reputable developers, track record, what have they done before? Speak to previous buyers who have bought those ones before. Those are important parts. And then you can go in with a little bit more confidence.
So apart from those issues that we've talked about, which links into the scamming and all that. Not necessarily saying the person is a scammer, but sometimes you are let down by family and all that. But yeah, apart from those challenges, are there any other challenges and risks that people need to be aware of if they start thinking about investing in real estate in Ghana?
I'd say it's probably in line with kind of Mario's expertise, but quality of build. Yes. Some people end up with walls that aren't straight, you know. So it's quality of build and those kind of things, because a lot of the times what I've seen with like our uncles and aunties, it's like, oh, this person built my house. Okay, they get referred on to someone else. They get referred on to someone else. Yeah. And the standard that's accepted is like, oh, if that wall isn't 100% straight, then it is what it is. You shout at him and then you forget about it. But, you know, if you work with reputable people like Majestic, I know you're going to get something that's of a high quality. So I think it's the devil is always in the detail.
Yeah.
And I think with that, you have to work with good people. Yes, referrals are good, but sometimes you get referred something that is a lower standard than what you'd expect. Yeah.
And the risk aspect of it, as I said, is very, very important. So you can, as you said, get family or somebody to build for you and the rest of it. And they would use unqualified artisans. And you end up with something you said on straight walls. The amount of times I've had clients call me to come and rectify a situation or a building project when they could have saved that time and money going with a reputable company or contractors like ourselves to make sure we, as you said, we deliver end to end. We're there with you from the start to finish. We give you updates by video every week. We give you milestones that we stick to. If we say we're going to complete a project in 6 months, if you have your money readily available, 6 months will come, you have your project. You get some places where they'll tell you, once someone tells you 6 months and then coming to close to 6 months, they tell you, oh, we need another 2 months. You need to be checking that job. Why? I've given you all the money. Why am I not getting, why are you not reaching it? Sometimes they hire cheap labor and you'll end up getting something that is short of quality. So you have to be prepared to pay for the quality. And a lot of people don't like to pay for quality, especially even in the diaspora. They want something, they think because their mindset is because, oh, it's Africa, it should be cheaper than what you're saying it is. But if you want the quality, you have to pay for it. And for us, client satisfaction is very important to us. So we make sure that we give you the best. We put our best workers. If our workers are working on your project, they're there to the end. They're not working 1 day here, then 2 days going to work somewhere else and coming back, then your project is left to its devices. No, making sure that clients are happy is our number one goal and our key.
I personally have had a little bit of experience with artisans, and it is very difficult. So, but what my little bit will be, look, Ghanaians are very, very good salespeople. Apart from, they don't even see that they are good salespeople. The nature of the culture and everything, they are very good at convincing you. They are very good, because I don't know whether it's because our language is quite amicable, is quite the culture. So a Ghanaian will make you believe that book is upside down when it's not. They just have that skill. I don't know. And sometimes you think, oh, I am savvy. I know all these things very well. But you're not until it happens. And then later on you think, but you said. So I've had I have a builder who is helping me do a refurb on a house, and the guy is very good. He comes with artisans and he says they're very good, and you go with them. But I have realized that it's not just about somebody being good. It's about what, Henry, you said. It's your eye, your standards, what you want. And quite often it's very different to what they feel they are doing stuff at a high standard. And if you take them and compare to other artisans. Yes, they are, and they are building for, high class, whatever, but still, you need to guide them.
Yes.
You need to see for yourself the design. I mean, this morning I've had like a door, and I'm like quickly messaging back. I said, very closer than the one we saw, but this is much wider. Oh, madam, yes, I've not welded it. I've just pieced it together so we can do that. But this is what I mean. If I hadn't done that, you end up with a thing that's not what you want at all. So it is that, and this is why having people who are, how do I say, very qualified.
Yes.
So when you're talking to them, they understand what you're saying.
Sorry to cut you. Even this goes to say, project management is very key. You need very good project management. Yeah. It's good having qualified artisans to do the work, but if you don't have a qualified project manager to oversee them, they will do, because the local mentality is that I know what I'm doing. I'm very skilled. Yeah. So if a client says they want A, they think, oh, maybe I can give them B. It still adds up. It's still quality, but that's not what the client wants. So one of our mottos is, the client says they want A, give them A. Yes. This is what they want. Don't tell me that, oh, you think it should be done this way. No, this is what the client wants. You give the client what they want. And that's one of the big headaches that I face coming into the industry, dealing with the local artisans. I had to literally train them and make them get that understanding that we're coming with a different mindset. Yeah. You have your way of doing things, but we're coming to change that. We're coming to disrupt that. Yeah. Where we want things done right and done properly. So we're going to balance the two. We know you have the skill, but the client wants this. You give the client what they want. Yeah. Client is always right. It's not you that's going to tell the client, oh, I think it should be done this way. Client sees that it's not what they want. They're not going to be happy. No. And a lot of people, oh yeah, I've done my job. They don't care whether the client is happy or not. It's very important. Yeah. And that's where you also get the referrals coming from. Yes. You do a good job, you will get referred on. So it's very, very key. Yeah. Project management.
Yeah. So now let's try and give people some practical real estate investment strategies. If people are thinking they want to invest in real estate on the continent, what are the different pathways that people can follow?
Okay, so traditionally you buy land and then you build. That's the traditional way. Yeah. But a lot of people don't have the capital sitting there to do so. So if you want to come in at a lower level, you can invest into the buy-to-let market or even the rent-to-rent scheme, which is what a lot of people are doing with the Airbnb, where they're actually renting the apartments and then using it for short stays and making it aesthetically pleasing and attracting a certain crowd and making a return on that. So that's one pathway that you can take. You can also come in at the affordable end. Don't come in and try to build luxury straight away. If you have the funding for it, fine, but there's more sense and more money in building 20 affordable homes and getting you selling it quicker. So you build 20 affordable homes that the average Ghanaian can afford. You sell your properties within 6 months and you can start again, rather than sitting there for 2-3 years and not being able to sell and waiting for that one big square foot, and then your money is locked into a project. So that's another pathway. Go down the affordable route. Buy land that is not too expensive. You don't need to go into prime areas, as they say. You have the other up and coming areas like your Pokwasi's, the Oyarifes, Dodowas, those areas going just outside of Accra. You can build nice, affordable housing, apartments where you will get good returns on your rentals. So that's also another avenue that I believe that you can go through. And there's another model where is co-investing. That's something that I've seen starting to trend as well, where a group of people come together and they will invest into maybe a studio, maybe a 1-bedroom, and they can use it for short stays as well. So there's those different pathways. But you can come in at all different levels, but always think about what's going to make you money quicker than you having to sit and wait for a long time. I mean, you can go down if you want to go down a long-term investment route, that's also there as well. But the smart money is to get in and get out so you can be able to use that money to invest into other projects. Yeah. Definitely.
Would you maybe say there's the avenue for especially diasporans to, I know diasporans sometimes there's the misconception that we are all coming with money, a lot of money, but usually it's not the case. We know that.
Yeah.
But is there an avenue for diasporans to maybe look into actually taking mortgages in the country and buying houses that way and then renting, so they can.
So some of the major banks are doing that now, where they're offering diaspora mortgages. So there's a product where they're giving it's mainly for Ghanaians that are living abroad. Most of them are doing. So they can check your credit rating and they'll offer you a loan where you can use to facilitate the purchase. And you can use it for rentals or even if you're somewhere that you want to live. But most people buy it to let with the interest rate, as you said, is still yet to be very competitive. But the banks have made it a bit more easier for the diaspora and outside to be able to access those facilities. You may not get the interest rate so well, but you can come in and be able to get that bulk money to buy and make an income within a few months once the place is up and running. So that options are available with a lot of the major banks now.
But it's not available to, let's say, the African Americans.
No,
it's not yet.
Not yet. No, I do know of a company that is actually looking at doing that at the moment. They're trying to put together a fund where they can also give mortgage products to those foreigners that are not of Ghanaian descent. And I think that's going to be a game changer.
Because then I suppose, let's say, even people who are born of parents of Ghanaian descent. So if you're like second, third generation abroad and you haven't got the Ghanaian card or as a Ghanaian, that means you fall in the same brackets. At the moment.
But the good thing is, in the UK, I'm aware that you're able to get a Ghana card there now. They just started it. Literally.
Really?
So as long as 2 weeks ago, if you can prove that your parents are Ghanaian, you can get yourself a Ghana card. And that makes you automatically Ghanaian, that you can facilitate that.
So one thing I'd add, and I think Mario really put it succinctly, I do know of some kind of venture capital funds that are coming together trying to pull together investors to start investing in real estate here. Partnering with developers and things like that. One is, I know the guys called Africa.vc. They seem to be doing a good job in that regard. And I think one of the things that as diasporans, especially of Ghanaian descent, you should be preparing and looking at, because when I came for like a 6-month period before I moved fully, and I got the 6 months visa from the British High Commission. And in my mind, I'm here for 6 months. It's a re-entry visa, so you have to go and come back. And so I realized and so they told me you've overstayed your visa. I was like, how can I?
So 6 months.
I've got 6 months.
And plus, I'm in Ghana. What are you talking about, right? And then I was like, no. You know what? I need to get my paperwork right as a Ghanaian. What do you call it? Ghana card, Ghana passport, SIM card, Momo setup. All of those things help you integrate easier. But it's you can do it when you're coming on holiday. Don't just come and party. Go and get your Ghana card. Do those things, because at some stage that digital ID is going to be inherent across everything you do. I was at a Ministry of Communication conference, and the NITA, National Information and Technology Agency, they have an ambition to start linking all of these different agencies through data, etc. So that Ghana card is going to, let's see how it goes, but it's going to be so important for you to navigate the system. You're not going to be able to finalize a land purchase without your Ghana card. You're not going to be able to do those things.
It's even happening now.
Right.
So, everywhere you go is Ghana card.
Right. It's even more weight than your passport.
It is. It is. So, was looking at a track, and I was asking about the papers on the truck, and this guy says, yeah, we've got I've got all the papers, everything is fine. Then you get there, and then it's like the papers he's showing me has a different name to his name, and I'm like, well, I need to see your Ghana card as well, just so I'll make sure that you are the owner of the truck, and then it has to match the name on here. And then he goes, oh no, I bought it off that person, and I didn't bother changing it because I knew I was going to sell it later on. So, but he's had it for years, right? And then the guy I was with was like, oh yeah, in Ghana, that's quite common. It's a common thing. So I said, okay, so what's the next step? If it's a common thing, then obviously there's a way they do it. So let's find out from the DVLA how they're going to do the change of ownership, because for me it is important that it is a change, the name is changed, and plus for you to do insurance and all of that, it is important. We called, and apparently if the name on the Ghana card doesn't match the name on the papers of a card, they are not going to do anything.
Wow.
You just can't, there's no way you can get around it.
Good.
So that's, that was one first nice thing. I realized that actually certain things work. So,
and these are some of the things that we don't realize. Certain things do work,
but we don't.
We're stuck in the mind that everything doesn't work, so you don't trust.
Exactly. But the interesting thing with all of that is somebody comes whilst we are there trying to see if there's a way out. Oh no. Oh, they've not changed the name. Oh yeah, I'm not bothered. I'm not going to change the name. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not interested. I've got cash. Here you go.
Wow.
So sometimes that's
but more for you in the long term.
Oh yeah. No. Absolutely. There's no way. Exactly. But what I'm trying to highlight is this is the difference in mindset. So sometimes we need to take a breather, and I'm glad I did, because you need to take a breather and actually know that yes, you're doing that, but it's wrong. And eventually, is that how you want to go about things? Certainly not. So absolutely. So we come to a topic that is really, really dear to my heart. We've talked a little bit about that. Affordable housing. Affordable housing. So when initially when I was thinking about coming home and doing something at home, I thought about real estate. I'll get into real estate. I came in, and as soon in trying to understand the landscape, realized that what is really needed is affordable housing. What we have a lot of is luxury housing. A lot of which are lying empty. And that I couldn't answer a good way that I would be able to get in and actually do something that I feel will be impactful, as in work more with the affordable housing. So that's something that's at the back of my mind still, but I feel it is a real issue. So I want us to discuss why we are where we are, where there's more luxury apartments being built. There's a lot of money being pushed into that sector. However, affordable housing, there is a big deficit in affordable housing. And I think we are actually in a crisis situation when it comes to affordable housing. So I'd like us to talk a bit about why.
I know Mary will have some good inputs here as well. I think back to those fundamentals not being in place, it's a problem. So, we've had affordable housing projects like Saglemi, which just stopped. Money's been spent. Who knows where the funds went? Millions and millions of dollars. It's still sitting there. You can drive past it today. Nobody's in there.
Where is that?
It's Afloa Road, between kind of Dawenya and on your way to Ada and those things. And then we had the recent affordable housing in Pokwasi, which was priced in dollars.
Right. Interesting.
Which was priced in dollars and was open to foreigners buying.
Right. Okay. So
again, the fundamentals, kind of just having some national pride and spirit around some of these initiatives as opposed to short-term gain.
Yeah.
Is always going to help, because how can you do affordable housing, price it in dollars and open it up to foreigners?
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Are they like government initiatives?
That's a government initiative.
And they're pricing them in dollars?
Yeah, I think they were I could be wrong, but like it was like, I think the one bed was like $55,000 or something like that.
Okay.
Which is a great price, but it's still not what it's supposed to be. You know?
Even with the government initiatives, like we had with the previous government, a similar contract to do affordable housing, and same thing, they priced it in dollars, which I found was a bit strange, but they giving you a specification of building something that is like the size of a box, and they want you to charge in dollars for people that can't actually even afford it. Yeah. So it's going to cost us in materials way more than what you are asking us to build for the size of the house, and then you're now asking us to also sell it at a certain price where we can't even make a profit on it. One, and then you're making it in dollars where people can't even still afford it. So how does that make it affordable? It's not affordable housing. One thing that I have realized with the reason why people go for luxury and build luxury, as I said again, the gains is a lot in terms of buying land at expensive price, materials being so high. They will want to put their money into that and get a high return rather than building maybe 20 apartments and having to like spend money building 20 apartments where they could spend that same money and build one unit and get that return back, even more money back in that. So to an extent, I wouldn't say greed, but it's more of a thing where it's like, if I can do that and get my money from that, why am I going to pour all that work and build? So it does take people to have their heart to want to solve that issue. It has to be a personal burden that comes on everyone to see that there's a 2 million deficit. Why is that? There are people that come from like Takrady. They'll take a flight to come to Accra or a bus or to come to Accra and work the whole week and can't afford to go back, so they have to work the whole week. Some can't afford the housing, so they're sleeping in their offices for that whole week that they're there because there just isn't affordable housing for them. So us at Majestic Homes, that's one of our priorities over the next few years, is to make a change in that. And there's so much talking about it, but we need to effect a change. I believe a lot of diasporans can also help with that. Come and invest in middle income projects, properties for people to be able to afford, which will make a huge difference to the deficit. There's no point having a huge deficit and having a lot of properties sitting there empty. It does not make any sense. And we can make a change if we are. So for us at Majestic, we're looking at sustainable options like prefabricated homes, which are a lot cheaper to build. You can, on an acre of land, you could probably fit about 20 units of maybe studios on there with these prefabs, the way that is arranged, and it's a lot cheaper to build, and it will go quickly, and the average Ghanaian can afford these type of units rather than building with high materials and then you're wanting to make a return, so the affordable aspects goes out the window. So it's very important that issue is addressed. I believe the current government is trying to address that issue, and I must give them some credit. I've seen some progress being made in some of their stalled projects. I believe they're starting to restart them, and the housing minister made it clear that affordable housing is one of their priorities in this current term, to make sure that is sorted out. So I do believe that there will be a change going forward.
That warms my heart.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, Mario made some really good points there. I think that national pride and that national interest in doing it is really important, because at the end of the day, prefab buildings have been around for however long, for ages, and these options would have always been available, but you need the desire and the tone from the top to be like, we're going to solve this problem.
Yes.
The middle market is very lucrative. It is very, very lucrative. the lower end of the market where a lot of people sit, it's going to be difficult for people.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for developers to build at that price point and all those kind of things. But again, because the fundamentals aren't in play and someone can price land at whatever they decide they woke up on that morning, as opposed to real market dynamics playing, it makes it difficult. I can understand from a developer's perspective, how am I going to do affordable housing if I can't afford to build it? So I understand that, but I think that's where the state needs to come in with real intention. And, I am impressed with the government so far, to deliver against that deficit, because the longer that's going to go on, the greater the tension that's going to arise. And the wider the wealth inequality gets, and that's not helpful to anyone. It could have dire consequences. So hopefully the state really intervenes, because I think that's the state need to put in place the mechanisms and the tools that enable things to become affordable, enable things to become transparent, because that's only going to bring more investment, and that's going to bring more opportunity to more people. So, it's useless if you do high rises and only the Ghanaian elite can get to it. What's the point? Nobody wins. Eventually, they're all going to get frustrated and say, "Oh, this is a bad business." So I think there's a state desire that's needed.
Apart from the state starting and putting these things in place, do you see any way where the private sector can actually find a way to do affordable housing competitively and still make money, do you think?
Oh, yes, most definitely. They can do. It takes, again, the prefabricated homes is one way that private sector can really get in, build a lot of them and still make your money, without it being too much of a cost to you, to the sector. The problem is that the private sector don't see that as a priority. If it was to become a priority, the private sector can definitely help to reduce that deficit. Another issue I do find with and I do sympathize with developers is that there just isn't enough people to offset those properties too. So there has to also be mortgage facilities in place for these. So if someone's earning and the bank can ascertain that they're able to afford to pay a certain amount every month, the bank should be able to offtake these properties once the developers are finished. And that gives the opportunity for the lower to middle income earners to be able to afford it, as well as the developers getting their money and not having to sit around and wait. That will boost their confidence to want to get into that side of affordability.
I mean, I sometimes think the way our governments, maybe the focus on how we do things is not the best. So, for instance, the government doesn't really need to get into the construction of affordable housing. What they need to do is create that enabling environment.
That's it.
So, and their project, instead of it being actually building affordable housing or getting into partnership with developers to build affordable housing, their project should be, number one, how are we going to help developers when it comes to building affordable housing? Where? What do we put in place for them? Number two, how do we support people to be able to afford these affordable housing that the private sector will produce once we enable them? So is that enabling environment? So like you're saying, maybe the government can actually find a way to support, I don't know, not even support. The banks, it needs to work with the banks in enabling people to be able to offtake these affordable homes, so that so long as they can pay a certain amount monthly, it doesn't matter if they take it for 30 years or 40 years even. This is where I know in the West usually they say 25 years, but you see, when you are looking to solve a problem, you do need to think outside the box. So maybe increase the years, and also look at the interest. Because Ghana, that's the biggest problem. That interest rate is the big. So if we find ways of supporting, middle income, even low income people in a way that helps them, they might take longer, but they pay interest too for longer, So the government may be putting their efforts into the enabling all around. That would just, I think that
could hurt. I must say, the government, a couple of years back, I did see a project of similar, as you did say, where the government had agreements with the bank for the banks to offtake those properties once they become available. But they was only doing it for government workers. So if you work for the government, then you have that facility there. It doesn't spread out to the wider public. So if you're a government worker, then you get that benefit, that incentive, but it should be spread out more to the local Ghanaian that maybe not be a government worker. They might be a employee, or they might even be a small business owner, to be able to also afford those facilities. They're able to make it more, enable it and make it more widely available. Definitely.
I think, that term enabling environment is really important because I think that, again, all of the distortion in the market, all of the misalignment on pricing and demand is due to not having the enabling environment. Because Africa is unique in that you don't have loads of people on standard, what we call in UK, PAYE, tax code, you get a job, your tax comes out that way. Because if the government provide an enabling environment, it's actually more revenue for them, more tax revenues. So things like, and I have to give, the last government some credit around this whole Ghana card initiative, because that could be the baseline for the enabling environment. If you have financial footprint tied to your Ghana card, have you paid your rent on time? What's your Momo purchases like? That you can start to build that financial footprint, that record that can go to banks and say, okay, this is what it is. Now, if you provide that enabling environment from a financial footprint, and then you can say to the banks, okay, if they achieve this score, we expect these interest rates favorable for you to then go. And if you do those interest rates, we will, you get you are the core facility provider for this affordable housing project. And the whole ecosystem works together harmoniously. It takes time, but I think that's the one thing that's holding us back as a real hotbed for institutional level investment is the enabling environment. Bring down the tariffs on imports for building materials. That lowers the cost and those kind of things. If this is an affordable housing project, okay, it gets a different tax code at the port for the materials because it's going to the affordable housing. Because some imports are 30%. If you knock off 30% of building materials for affordable housing, wow, that's a great improvement. It's a big chunk. And all of a sudden, that can be passed on to the consumer. So, but we're sitting here. We're not government officials, but that environment's really important. And hopefully we get there because it's only going to be a good thing.
And I must say, like me, I'm a firm believer. Everything for me is about prayer. So I would put that in there. We need to pray for our nation, pray for our government to be able to implement these things, and we'll start to see these changes happen.
I think it will happen.
A lot depends. In Africa, I think a lot depends on our leaders and the government. It is clear. Do you think the diaspora can plug that gap, real estate investment? Can they potentially solve that affordable housing problem if they did look at it as a thing to do to get into the diaspora?
I think it would be difficult without having the local knowledge required to enter a market, right? So I think the diaspora could do it if they had some sort of facility or vehicle to which they could understand and integrate into the system and know how things are going to work, whether it be a fund, a venture capital firm, etc. But I think what I find when I speak to diasporans is actually their local knowledge is quite weak. So how do you enter such a complex environment with weak knowledge? You need to be guided by professionals and those kind of things in order to be able to do it. So I think it might take for a diasporan with kind of thought leadership to say, okay, this is the affordable housing vehicle that we're going to enable people to invest in, and these are the returns, and this is the reassurances that you get to enable it. But I think what we do really badly as Africans is we operate in silos too much. So we don't, everyone might have their idea. The amount of people that come to me with different ideas about solving problems in Africa, and I'm just like, you're all trying to solve the same problem, but you're doing it in a disparate way. We don't do things as a collective. So if there is some sort of uniformity we can bring to the investment vehicle that can be taken to affordable housing, then great. But as long as we do it separately, it's going to be difficult. So it's a challenge.
Actually, quite rightly said, the vehicle is very important. You need a vehicle to be available for the diaspora coming in to know that I can invest through this particular setup and be able to get a return. And I also know that it's going towards affordable housing. So that needs to also be put in place. And I strongly believe that diasporans can come in and help with affordable housing. Definitely.
So we just need enough of us to think outside the box, come together, work together to try and bring something to being that even in this present climate where our governments are not there yet, we can start setting the tone and working towards something. And even that might even enable them to work with us in a more positive way. So we need to find that way. We need to come together and find that path of doing that. There's something I want to ask. In terms of the landscape at the minute, where we have a lot of high-end properties that are lying empty, and we have an affordable housing crisis. It's interesting because it's as if the market hasn't been able to work properly. Now, is it that, or is it that what we see in the luxury high-end markets lying empty? Are there underlying stories? Is there something that is pushing that beyond the normal, which market forces would have had an influence on? Do you see what I'm saying? Is it something, or do we not want to discuss that?
I mean, we could touch on it. Again, I pull it down to a lot of the high net worth individuals. They're able to, have a lot of disposable income, and they need it to be somewhere. Yes. So for them, putting it into a luxury development, it makes sense for them. It's something that can even go on to their generations, So in their mind, putting it into 200 luxury homes, my money is safe, and the property is always appreciating. So definitely is some of the, and there's other factors as well, could be corruption, I dare to say, but there is that also happening where people are actually funneling money through certain projects just to make sure that their money is somewhere. So that's also things that push the drive in luxury homes rather than affordable, because they're not going to make any money from that.
So, I mean, this is the thing, because no matter how much money one has, sometimes for you to pump that money into something and just let it lay, just laid there, not making you any return. It's a bizarre situation, and this is where, and again, quite often you are on the continent and people are able to go and have 200 houses in prime location just like that. This is part of the distortion, right?
Big time. It's part of the inflation of the market. don't get me wrong, there are high net worth individuals that have done really well in business, like really well, because if you have been in the system and you've done well in a particular trade and you've grown, you know, we've got the examples, you know, Despites and all these people, they've made really big amounts of money. But again, they're in Ghana. Where do they invest it? Real estate makes sense. You get the stories and all of the alleged issues in kickbacks and those kind of things, you know, and where do they go to first? Real estate. You know, so that is an inflationary element. And if you have those kind of funds and you just need to get it away from you, you don't care if you're making a return. You know, it'd be nice, but you don't care. At the end of the day, it's a store of wealth. And that's all I need so that nobody bothers me. You know? So that's it's been well documented and well reported on, and in the public domain you can see different examples of people that have taken money and used real estate as a store of wealth. That's the best way I can put it. But there are well documented stories of certain individuals, politicians that have taken certain contracts, taken the money and putting it in real estate and bought 10 houses in one go because I can't sit around with cash under my bed, you know? So that is a factor. There's no point in trying to hide away from it.
We've got, this is why when you can't talk about the sector and not talk about that.
No, you
So
can't.
we've got to touch on it. That's the reality.
It's a factor. So, you know, that holds the inflation. Because if you look at real estate in the UK now, for example, it's really on the downturn. Because what's happened over the last 5 years or 3 years, interest rates have gone up. Everybody's borrowed where interest rates were low. So when they come to renew, all of a sudden their monthly payments have gone through the roof. They can't afford as much anymore, so they put their houses on the market. Their houses don't sell as well because interest rates are high. So then the prices come down. These are normal mechanics of a functioning environment. But if you've got lump sums of cash that just get dropped in there for particular properties and nobody cares for if it sells or not, prices stay high. So that's just the fact.
That is a distortion, isn't it? So for our final part, we would like to look at your businesses. So how come you started the businesses that you did? What gave you that business idea? And then more on what you actually do, what your businesses do for our viewers.
Okay, so I'll start. So Kuro Africa came about from my own frustration. So I would come to Ghana year on year, trying to understand, you know, what to invest in, real estate wise, land, etc. And every time I came, I would just receive anecdotal stories about pricing, what the return was, and I just didn't find that acceptable. I couldn't invest off stories. So what I did was I started to learn about data and analytics. I started to collect data on real estate in Ghana. I started to understand different factors that came into play, the population, their earnings. And eventually that's what Kuro became. It became a self-serve dashboard for investors like myself to make more informed decisions around real estate. And then it's evolved now into kind of more support services, research projects, ongoing insights that we give to institutions about the market, comparative analysis, site inspections, those kind of things. So it's basically trying to bring more transparency back into the market so that people can invest with a higher degree of confidence. And also we want to position ourselves so when the systems are in the right place, we're a key player in providing data, information and research to diasporans.
Sounds really good. So who is your customer then in that respect?
So who we thought our customer would be when we started and who it is very different. So I thought that, you know, local agents would really want kind of data and information. But the willingness to pay in the country is very low. People aren't willing to pay for information.
No.
And at the end of the day, it's kind of, oh, Charlie, I'll sell whatever I have to sell, and that's it, you know? And so I quickly come to realize, and also the subscription model doesn't work well here.
Okay.
It's more top-up model,
okay.
right? So what I came to understand and realize is actually the diasporans who want to make a move in and want reliable information, they tend to be my core customer. I do get requests from local people and like, I'm planning this project. What kind of pricing can I expect to price it at, etc. But then I'll be like, okay, so you have to pay for that information. It's just like, oh, no, forget it. I'll just go whatever someone tells me down the street.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because what they don't really see what you're losing by not getting the information. And this is a common story with our people.
Yes.
You know, they don't understand. Somebody has invested a lot of money in getting all of that. But that information could actually help you make better decisions regarding, and the little money you pay is nothing. It's nothing at all compared to what you're looking to invest. Therefore, it's better to spend that tiny bit of money just to make the right decision.
So that's where my customer has kind of changed. So it's more the diasporans.
Okay.
It's more the diasporans who want to make an informed decision and don't want to make a mistake.
Yes.
Like $100,000 mistake, right? So, you know, you can make $100,000 mistake and some people be hesitant to spend £100 to speak with me for an hour, you know?
Exactly.
But there are serious players that want that information. So we're moving more to kind of B2B model, institutions, organizations, funds, those kind of things, who want eyes on the ground, data that's clean. You know, we're even looking at doing an API service so other real estate technology companies can come use our data to build their platforms, those kind of things. So it's been a learning curve. You don't find your product market fit immediately. No. Sometimes it takes some time and iteration. And what I thought would be, okay, local people would really need this. So no, they're not willing to pay. And a lot of the agents are driven by whatever stock they have. So if they're working with a new developer that's luxury and they know they're going to make 10K commission on each, that's all they're selling.
That's all, yes.
And if you can't help me sell, then I don't care what you have to offer, you know, because that's where it is. So with Kuro, we're actually trying to be the independent analyst for the market. So we're not here for anyone other than the single source of truth, right? And we're trying to enable the investor to have as much options as possible. You know, $120,000 studio, but do you know that you could spend $120,000 and get a 3-bedroom house in Oyarifa? Is that information available to you? That's where Kuro comes in to try and help out.
So that's the practical, even in terms of the diaspora, if they are thinking, I want to invest in real estate, that sort of practical knowledge where they know they can easily get data on specific areas and that sort of thing. So and also even like on your returns, for example, you know, you may be flashed with, okay, high end, you know, $100, $200 a night. People throw anything at you when they're trying to sell something to you. But how many nights are you occupied in the high end? Right? If you're occupied for two nights a month or 3 nights a month, and you pay the 120, but then you could rent out your place in Oyarifa, earn cities, get $600 a month for the same investment. All of a sudden, your return's greater. Not the imagined return of, yes, you can get $2,000 a month. Yes, if you're occupied every day. And you'd have to do short stays. And with short stays, there's a lot more effort required, a lot more handover, maintenance, those kind of things, which comes at a 20% cost if you go with the developer. So all of a sudden now you have a lot more friction in your investment that you didn't anticipate. And that's where Kuro's trying to help, to give you a full breadth of the market of saying, okay, that East Legon apartment may be $200,000, but you know what? There's a $70,000 small house in Spintex that would give you $400 a month paid up front. And the market is waiting. It's a different, you know, so that's what we try and help with. That's very, very good. So I do hope that some of our local companies will start seeing the benefits as well. Because this is the thing. It's important for the local side of things to also start moving. Because we can't develop when it's only diasporans or, so I really hope that they'll start seeing the benefits and start using that to make informed decisions. Yeah.
Yes. I can't hold my breath.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. So Mario, now let's talk about Majestic Homes, GH.
Okay, for Majestic Homes, similar to Henry, it was born out of my own frustrations as well. Growing up in the UK for a long time, coming from a project management background, and coming back to Ghana after so many years, decided to buy some land and wanted to do a project for myself. And experiencing dealing with the artisans was very frustrating for me. Even something as little as putting up a fence wall became such a nightmare, with unqualified workers, and even those that are qualified not doing what you've asked them to do and having to spend more money to be able to do what I've actually, the vision that I had was so frustrating. So going back and forth after a while, I realized that no, something needs to be done about this, and it can be done if you want. As they say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. So the idea was born from that, and I realized that a lot of diasporans also face this frustration as well. So at Majestic, we decided to come together to bring a end-to-end service which is transparent, where you can actually see what you're spending your money on, the quality that you're getting from what we do. We operate as a one-stop shop. So we start off by sourcing you litigation-free legitimate land, and we have in-house architects that will sit down with you and plan your whole build for you, exactly what you want to build. And we also construct for you with project management, manage it throughout the whole process. We hold your hand through it. We build stage by stage according to your funding. So if it's foundation stage you're ready for, we can build it until you're ready to go to the next stage. So we'll build you at each stage. So it makes it less headache, transparent. We update you weekly with videos and site visits to show you the progress of each stage. We give you milestones which we achieve and we stick to. If we say we're going to give you a certain time frame, this is what we're going to finish at, we're going to finish at this time. Now, once the project is complete, if you want us to manage it for you, we also have a management side of the company where we'll take it on board, whether it's for rental or whether it's for short stays. We can accommodate all that for you. So you don't even have to be in the country. And you're getting your money come to you. So that's another aspect of it. If you want us to sell the property for you, we have a sales division that sells your property for you. So we literally hold your hand through the process from the start to the finish. So that's the idea. And we also have an arm of the company where we cater solely for the diasporans and foreigners trying to come into the country and don't know where to begin from. So we have a relocation service where we've teamed up with certain companies like Kuro, where we'll give you the data that you need to make an informed decision, and we'll make that move very simple for you. So instead of you having to go to every vendor to go and make these things happen, we will source. If you're trying to rent, we'll source the apartment for you. If you're trying to buy, we'll source the house for you, and even coordinate your moving process from coming to the ports, help with clearance, getting your goods delivered to your home, and making it that less stressful for you. So we do all the hard work for you.
I see.
And you sit back and you can have a easy, smooth ride. We also have a maintenance side of the company where we have qualified electrician, plumbers, artisans. So when you have any issues at your home and you need maintenance, we can also provide maintenance services. So we operate as a very detailed and efficient one-stop shop for all your real estate needs.
Right.
So that's basically what we do at
that
Majestic.
sounds really good.
Yes.
So you do source land even if the people are not here?
Yes, so we
Okay.
can source the land. We will do virtual tours with you, so you
Mhm.
can actually see what you're buying,
Okay.
show you all the paperwork is intact, make sure your land is protected before you even send any money over. We make sure
Fantastic.
that we do all that due diligence for you.
Mhm.
You know, so we have lawyers that we've teamed up with that can make sure that all the legal side of everything is sorted out for
Super.
you. If you, I noticed that the diasporas, they don't have the time to do it. Some of them don't have know where to begin from. When I came back over 12 years ago, I didn't know where to start from. I felt like a foreigner,
Yeah.
you know. So
I can
having
imagine.
somebody to be able to take that stress off for you and know what's happening on the ground,
Mhm.
it goes a long way. So
It
our
does,
clients
absolutely.
are very, very happy to have
Yeah,
that service. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's basically
fantastic,
what we do.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's it. We've had today with us Mario Safo Edu
Yes.
of Majestic Home GH, and we also have Henry Asenso of Kuro Africa. So hopefully you've really enjoyed the conversation today. We're going to put their details in the links below. So if you need to contact them for anything, you can always contact us as well. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. Thank you to our cherished viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And do grab a copy of our book, The Great Return, which is on Amazon. And if you're thinking of doing business in Ghana or investing in Ghana, then get in touch. Visit our website, tgrafrica.com, and for business advice, guidance, and more. And also to check out everything else that we're doing, all the good stuff we're doing, and see how you can get involved. So thank you. See you in the next episode.
It's like an untapped market. And for the diasporans, it's a gold mine because they're coming in and they're able to, especially in the high, prime locations, you know, so once they invest in those prime locations, they can get really high returns, anything from 8 to 15% returns on the investment. So it's an attractive investment for anyone coming from the diaspora.